Watch the away game between the West Tigers and the Brisbane Broncos this Saturday, 1 April at West Ashfield Sports Bar. Take advantage of the half-price pizza and $4.80 tap beers from kickoff at 7:35pm until halftime, with your chance to win exciting prizes and giveaways as well. This is a free event hosted by The Ambush, a group for West Tigers members and fans. Hashtag show your stripes. Holman Barnes Group practices responsible service of alcohol. Visit holmanbarnesgroup.com.au for more information. Holman Barnes Group, bringing people together. So that was obviously last week's ads. I'm just going to read the ad for this week for Holman Barnes Group. So our major sponsor, Holman Barnes Group, they'll be at the West Tigers game at Accor Stadium for round 6 on Monday, April 10. Obviously this Monday coming. Holman Barnes Group, they'll be issuing free 1-year memberships to all West Tigers fans on game day, with your chance to win dining vouchers, West Tigers merchandise, and exclusive West Tigers signed jersey, as it says on the graphic there. That's the major prize. Holman Barnes Group, bringing people together. And welcome in to another episode of the West Life Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. We are sponsored by Holman Barnes Group, including West Ashfield Leagues. As I just said, they will be at the game handing out free memberships on Monday. And also, if you're not heading to Accor Stadium, the best place to watch the game on Monday. At Westlife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow on the socials. And if you want to support and take part in the show, patreon.com/Westlife. And to the guys, chuck your questions in there. We'll get to those later in the show. And if you're on YouTube, shouts to everyone tuning in. I can't believe, guys, how people tune in week after week. This team, the amount of torture they put us through, and our listeners just keep coming back week after week. We really appreciate all of you. Please like it and subscribe. Tell your friends. Who said, someone called it therapy again? Someone in the comments. Who was it? Murray. Shout out to Murray. Monday Night Therapy is about to start. So we're all in it together. This shit show that is the West Tigers at the moment. But one man that isn't a shit show is Mr. Bashara, coming from the Red Room in the inner west of Sydney. How are you? How far past the game are we? What are we, 48 hours gone? Rob, how are you feeling?
G'day, Josh. G'day, Aaron. Hello, everyone out there. Look, it's just a struggle to do this every Monday and Wednesday now. I've got to literally psych myself up. I've just been feeling like rubbish all day today. It was okay watching the game because I wasn't under any illusions as to what the result was going to be and how it was going to pan out. But yeah, I got a little bit angry yesterday and that kind of accelerated today. And yeah, I'm just feeling really, really down and feeling hopeless about the plight of the club. It's just not the losing. It's not even losing later in the year. It's just, we'll get into it later, but there's some real problems there that we might have dug ourselves into a really deep hole and won't get out of for, at least 2 or 3 years.
And also this week, coming in from the inner west, I guess we're pretty much inner west. I guess outer inner west, as I guess. I don't want to say we're technically the Parramatta area, but especially this week, we shouldn't really say that. But we're kind of in enemy territory, you and I. But anyway, how's Sydney life? Are you a more angry, stressed person yet, or you still countryman at heart?
G'day, Josh. G'day, Rob. G'day, everyone listening. Yeah, I'd say stressed is probably the way to describe it right now. Not so much because of the team, but just because of the move and everything else I've got going on surrounding that. A bit of a tumultuous time for me. I had work on Saturday. That was my final shift back in Orange. And then I moved that afternoon. It was a bit tricky to actually go and move that night, given the whole situation, but yeah, I did the best I could. I was hoping the team would give me a little bit more of a reason to smile, but I didn't expect we'd get belted by 30 plus.
Yeah, I obviously flew up for the game. I flew up Friday night, 1 hour delay. Thanks, Jetstar. It's a Jetstar flight. What else to expect? But that's okay. Made my way up there. Stayed with my sister who lives in Brisbane now. Headed to the game. Hopped on a train. from I don't know, somewhere in Brisbane, and the train pulls up. Train's just packed of Brisbane Broncos fan. There's one other Tigers fan. The whole pack carriage, so in enemy territory, which I didn't mind pre-game. Still a little bit of hope. No one didn't get a beer, any 4X thrown at me or anything just yet. And then walking from the station to the game, it's very cool. Suncorp. This is all pre-game when the hopes were still there. And walking in, it's a very open air sort of stadium. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but I quite liked it until the Broncos started. They started playing that song. I forget what it's called, but every time they score a try, they play this same song. And my God, after 8 times, I'd never want to hear that song again. But look, and then Caxton Street for some beers after. It is very cool. I hate the Broncos, but I am very envious of the setup and how they got the whole town behind the game up there. But on the field, shouts to a couple of people. Hannah, sat next to Hannah, gave her my spare ticket. So yeah, shouts to everyone that I did have a chat to up there as well, fellow depressed Tigers fans. But at least they get to live in sunny Queensland, I guess. Righto. So on to not Sheensy's presser. I didn't get clips for that. So our mate Justin Pascoe, he hasn't had a good 48 hours, has he, Rob? He's popped up in the media, and this time it wasn't our fault. We didn't say anything. He was spotted on the field kicking a football in a polo shirt, and then at halftime spotted by some media members. He was on his phone while Sheensy was trying to address the team. But we've got a few clips I'm going to play. James Graham going absolutely ham, and then a bit of stuff with NRL on what it's called, NRL 360 with Kenty and Buzz and Dan Ganane. Who's the other guy that's on there?
Peter Bedell.
Thank you, Peter Bedell. Before we get to those, Rob, what were your thoughts when you first saw the shirt? To be honest, I thought, oh my God, he's serious. That was kind of my reaction. I was more just depressed about the game. But look, it's not a good look, is it?
No, it's not a good look. But I mean, honestly, the first thought when I saw the picture was, what a wanker. Like, seriously, like I just didn't know what, it didn't upset me. I just thought, you idiot, like what are you doing? And look, people are going to say it's got nothing to do with how he runs the club and nothing to do with our performance on the field. When we get into all this stuff after you show the clips and everything, Josh, I want to break down what I think the problems are and why we blame management, et cetera, et cetera. But look, he doesn't have a way of acting like a CEO when he needs to act like a CEO. And it's not just an isolated incident. So you've mentioned the dressing room where he's on the phone. We don't know what that's about, but obviously I'm not saying he did this, but you're not allowed to have phones in the dressing room in case you're contacting a bookmaker or having a bet or whatever. So there's rules in place for that. Whether they apply to the CEO, I don't know. So that's 2 incidents just on one night. You go back last year, he was spotted on the red carpet the night Madge was sacked, while Tim Sheens was fielding questions at about 7 o'clock on NRL 360. This bloke was walking down the red carpet with his missus. Again, I think it's just poor tact, poor timing. When we lost our first 5 games, he was, up in the Northern Territory having a holiday, like instead of sort of, being with the team and like, we're a club in crisis, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think this guy doesn't read the room and it's to his detriment, but he's just a very relaxed person, relaxed character. Nothing phases him too much. And I just don't think he cares. I mean, he probably does care, but he doesn't show it emotionally. And he's just, look, I mean, the thing I'd throw at you, someone mentioned it to me today, guys, and I'll put you on the spot. Do not look up on your computers anything. I'll actually give you guys a prize if you can answer this question correctly, either of you. Can either of you blokes name me 3 other CEOs?
I can't name one.
For another club. And any of the other 16.
Peter Douse isn't at Dragons anymore, is he?
No.
I remember the Doused. They were kind of us a few years ago with the Doused.
Can you name 3? Can you name 1? But everyone knows Justin Pascoe. That's the point. Everyone knows
should.
Justin
It's actually
Pascoe.
embarrassing that I can't.
You know, he's got his own podcast, Ask the Boss. He's just, you know, everyone knows him, and our you know, CEO and our chairman are always in the spotlight. I mean, I guess from Hadja Pentelis's point of view, he's got to do that because he's promoting Brydens, but he doesn't really have to. But he's just always out there talking, you know, says stupid things like we lost our first 2 games, and well, if our attack was a bit better and we scored a few more points, we would have won the game. Well, thanks, Sherlock. You know what I mean? Like, just comes out with these stupidly simple statements that are just embarrassing for a chairman to say, let alone this bloke. You know, that photo you've got of him with the fingers or whatever, that's 2 days after we got the wooden spoon. Like, and everyone will say, leave him alone. He was letting his hair down. It's a bit like an end of season party or whatever. No, were we doing that 2 days after we got the spoon? We were at home thinking, how the hell are we going to turn this around? And this bloke just doesn't give a stuff, mate. And that represents our club, and that goes from top to bottom. And people that say they don't catch balls, they don't do this, they don't do that on the field, trust me, it has an influence. It really does. And we will show later why these guys are having an influence on what's going on the field, because they selected the coach. They selected the coaching structure. And the coach is failing because he's got a decent enough squad not to be 0-5. But I'm sure with all your clips, we'll get to touch on that later.
Yeah, it's quite a few. So this one is the Triple M show with Jimmy Graham talking about the Pascoe photo incident.
Pascoe buzz. That photo, that's another photo of him on his phone. Well,
sorry, this is NRL 360 tonight talking about it.
Tim Sheens is speaking. It was the one before the game in his jogger pants and polo shirt, talking about putting out the cones.
I want to start off by saying this. Who let Jackson Hastings...
It's the club, Buzz. It doesn't matter.
No, the coach hires and fires.
Yeah, they did that to accommodate Bateman, though.
Who kept Luke Brooks?
Yeah,
who is responsible for the team's attack the worst in the league? Is it the CEOs, really? Now, I'm not here to protect Justin.
You are at the moment.
No, what I want to say, I think that photo that he allowed to be taken of him on the football field in a tight muscle polo shirt and joggers was ridiculous. It was. He shouldn't have been out in the football field. But what I'm saying is it his fault that Ivan Cleary left the club because he wanted to coach his son. Is it his fault that Appy Coruscant was appointed captain this year and he's not doing a very good job of it? Do you blame the CEO?
Buzz,
do you blame the board?
Maybe we should blame you for putting Sheens in.
No, I'm not. Look, what I blame the board and Justin Pascoe is lack of due diligence in hiring Tim Sheens to do this job and not looking closer at his record.
You're at the lunch where...
No, but...
Well, seriously, Buzz.
But I will correct you. I asked Tim Sheens at that lunch, would you be interested?
Yeah.
3 weeks before the lunch, I rang Lee Hadjipentelis and I said there's only one guy who should coach the West Tigers, it's Shane Flanagan. I rang Simon Cook, a director, and told him the same. They ignored me.
Yeah.
So at lunch, I said to... Just ask the question. It was not my idea.
Righto.
Buzz, I'll say this, Buzz? There are 2 problems in my eyes at the Tigers. I know there's multifaceted issues, but the two-pronged ones for me, one's Justin Pascoe, the other one's the Luke Brooks deal, which I'll get to in a second. But Pascoe should be sacked by the board, and I'll tell you why. In 2019, they were guilty of a cap breach. He was stood down for 6 months by the NRL. They were fined $750,000 on Justin Pascoe's watch. As a result of that, the next year they had $639,000 taken out of their salary cap. Now, that's a big chunk out of your salary cap when you're trying to rebuild a club that's in the mess that they're in at the moment. At the same time, they extended Luke Brooks to a $1 million contract. Now, to me, it's one of the worst deals we've seen. He hasn't delivered.
Peter, you can't blame the CEO for $1 million contract.
He presided.
He's in there. Don't look.
I'm not saying he should.
They're the club that when Tedesco was at the club and he was about to leave, they were saying, "Don't worry about it. We were a chance of signing Michael Gordon."
Now, that last little bit is of course, who first said that? It was Tripper on our show. But,
I asked Tripper to say that story, and Tripper threw it to me, and that was a story where Justin said to me and to Tripper, we can get Michael Gordon for roughly 25% of the price of what we pay Teddy. Wouldn't that be a good deal? And look, I mean, most of it. Look, I've got to be honest. Most of what Buzz Rothfield said, I hate to say it, is true, but he's isolated certain incidents. So I don't know. Have you got Dan Ganane's list of players that he mentions clipped out later?
I didn't clip that part.
Okay,
sorry,
so
but yeah,
so,
but
so
we all
Buzz,
know we all know him. We all know
okay,
him.
so Buzz doesn't go into the fact that we had an interim coach when we signed Josh Reynolds for 3 years on $4 million that hardly played first grade for the first 2 years of that contract. He doesn't go into detail about Chris McQueen being on $1.4 million for 3 years, who started in about 10 first grade games over 3 years. Like, there's a lot of things we can, blame Justin for. Also, with what Peter Bedell said there, yeah, he got a 6-month suspension, but I think the suspension was halved, so it might have only turned into 3 months. But it's basically, he's right. If the attacking coach is letting us down or whatever, but who employed the attacking coach? Who employed the coach? And it comes back to management. They're the ones that saw fit about hiring Tim Sheens and how they structured it. And you have to blame the coaches right now for what's going on, Josh. We've got, if you go through our team, and I don't know everyone perfectly, but I can tell you now that we all know Appy's a state of origin hooker. We know Papali'i's is he playing for New Zealand? Is that his country? New Zealand second rower. We know Bateman's an English second rower. We know Joe Offengawi played Origin 2 or 3 years ago for Queensland. We know Stefano was in the emerging New South Wales and was, in that extended squad for some experience. We've got Twally, who's got the highest tackle efficiency rate in the league. There's enough there to be winning games. So it comes down to the coach. It's the coach's problem as to why we're losing. But as he correctly said, what due diligence did they do? Did they even do a due diligence with our own club? Did they actually go back, Josh, and say, why did we get rid of Sheens at the end of 2012? What was the problem with Sheensy? Why did we get rid of him then? Not to mention what he's done at Hull Kingston Rovers and Widnes and getting kicked out there. What did they do? And the best part about what I liked about 360 today, they didn't throw Robbie and Benji under the bus, which was great. Okay, they never mentioned one word about him. And like I said last week, take out the legendary status they've got. If you hired 2 blokes with no coaching experience, you'd be laughed at. Look at all the other coaches in the league, all the other great coaches. Craig Bellamy, he won a President's Cup for Canberra in 1995. He was assistant to Wayne Bennett for years. He didn't get his first gig till Melbourne in 2003. Trent Robinson's, even now, Andrew Webster, he was with us. We let him go. How many years did he do with us and with Penrith? Todd Payton wanted our job. Our front office can't recognise talent. We had coaches there. They let them slip through their grasp. They do not understand how it works. Every good coach has to serve an apprenticeship. And we've given Benji the keys after 2 years under a bloke that's been failing. Like, there's nothing wrong with giving it to Benji, and we don't know what he's going to be like as a head coach on his own, but he's done no apprenticeship. Every other bloke touted for an upcoming job, like a Jason Riles or a Dean Young or a Ben Hornby, whatever. They're doing apprenticeships and they go back into the system before they get a job. Our board are hopeless. They are just plain hopeless. I'm not swearing again tonight. Okay, like that's another bet I've got going with a mate of mine. I'm not going to swear, but it's frustrating, Josh. Our problem is up the top. So yeah, why are we losing now? We've got players with no confidence because our coach is not getting it right. But why is the coach there? Of course, Lee Hadjipantelis sought him back from England to be head of football. And when we finally got our cap in a good space, we've done great signings. But even Tim Sheens has identified Jackson Hastings as a lock. Jackson Hastings should have been with us. We shouldn't have lost him, and we've said that before. All the other signings are great, but we should have kept Jackson Hastings. Everyone will say, yeah, but we wouldn't have got John Bateman. John Bateman didn't start playing till round 3. Okay, we probably would have won our first 2 games if Jackson was there. So Tim Sheen's failure to identify who was the best game manager at our club is why we're in this position too. So Rothfield's right in one sense. Yeah, he's not the coach and he's not kicking balls or making the tackles or got a bad attack, but they're the guys that employed the coaches. And we've said it many times before, Josh. How many times can you keep hiring the wrong bloke and washing your hands of it? And just one final thing, because I'm talking too much. Justin Pascoe keeps saying he takes accountability. How do you take accountability and still have your job? What's taking accountability mean to this bloke? Oh yeah, it's my mistake. And then the quote that I've thrown all over Twitter, I'm so head screwed right now, I don't even remember it. But some people are going to be upset with some of the decisions we make, and we're not going to apologise for any of them. That shows that you're not ever going to be accountable for anything. So, why am I upset? Like, why are we all upset? We're upset because we're in a bigger hole than we were last year, and I never, ever envisaged we could be. I never, ever thought, and I actually don't know the way out now. And that's what gets me down and just makes me feel, you know what, let's just not take this footy seriously. Let's not even watch it live anymore. And I've made a vow, I'm not watching Easter Monday. I don't know how I'm going to do a podcast next week without watching the game, but I'm not watching. I know we should be $30 to win every week. We are an absolute disgrace, okay? And I feel sorry for the players. The players just look absolutely shell-shocked, and their confidence is absolutely sapped. Why? Because we've got a coach that's out of touch and past his use-by date, and he doesn't have the structure around him to know what to do. And, we'll know by the team selections tomorrow, Josh. It'll probably be the same stuff with the exception of Brent Naden coming in just because he's back and healthy and fit again.
All right, a little bit more buzz. So I'll let you take a breath there, Rob. A bit more buzz.
Sorry,
and
guys.
You'll probably this will probably fire you up as well. So a bit more buzz from NRL 360 tonight.
He has taken ownership of it today, and he says, look,
but what does that mean? You said that. It was a great interview you did with him, and he says, I take ownership. But what does that... they're nice words, but what does that actually mean?
I don't know what it means. I know they're a club that's an absolute mess at the moment, and if you're expecting an Easter miracle, Kenty, I don't think you're going to get one on Monday.
The problem is we heard all summer about how they've revamped their attack. After 2 weeks, the chairman comes on and says, if we'd attacked better, we would have won both games. Then he comes on a week later and he says, we're a new team, give us time. New team? Well, you're 0-3, the Dolphins, who legitimately are a new team, are 3-0. So that's just all... Like, the problem with the Tigers is people there that just don't know what they don't know. And that sounds cute, right? But they don't know. They don't know what a winning club looks like. They don't know what Sheens is the only one that does, right? But...
Long time ago, Kenty.
Yes, a long time ago.
It's pretty easy to see that that Buzz is pro Pascoe and as opposed to anti Pascoe, and Kenty is not in that discussion.
We've known from the beginning that some of the media guys are in Pascoe's back pocket, just like most of the media are in Ricky Stewart's back pocket. There are just some presenters or news makers out there who are just going to not lay into Pascoe the way we want them to or the way we hope they would because they're mates behind the scenes or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this isn't obviously a Raiders podcast, but I'll mention when they after that segment about the Tiger. Well, actually, no. First of all, I'm going to go backwards a bit. In the first 2 minutes of the show, or maybe in the first 90 seconds, they're not even talking about the Tigers, but they mentioned the Tigers twice. They mentioned the club by name twice. Then they have that full segment where they're talking about us, and then they move on to talking about Canberra. And instead of blaming Ricky Stewart or his poor coaching or whatever else might be the issue over at that club for their belting that they copped from Penrith on the weekend, they're blaming Canberra's conditions. There are some people in the NRL community, whatever roles they're in, who are just immune to criticism from any of these big wigs in the media because they're mates.
A big thing is the relationship that they have with Pascoe and Lee is they feed information to them because their bread and butter is information and making stories. That's the job of a journalist. So the whole thing about being a journalist is you don't want to lose that well of information that you're getting that creates stories. So it's kind of just scratching their back. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine sort of thing. That's a relationship Pascoe and Lee have with the media. So the ones that are coming out and being critical of them don't have that relationship with him. So there's always agendas in the media. So anything to add on Buzz before we get on to the old mate James Graham here, Rob?
Look, just on management in general, Josh, and I said it last week on Twitter, every time we don't get our first option, we look in the rearview mirror. We go backwards. We don't seem to have a plan B or a plan C. So if you go back to the end of 2021, we tried to get Cameron Ciraldo. We went all out for Cameron Ciraldo. We couldn't get him. We said to Madge, you've got a stay of execution. 6 months later, we're all after Ciraldo again. We went all in there, and then we couldn't get Ciraldo. We had no plan B. There are other coaches around. To actually appoint Tim Sheens was an embarrassment, and to hide behind two legends of the club the way they have, because by appointing Sheens for 2 years and then Benji for 3 years, they've basically washed their hands of the matter. Now, in theory, it's actually a really good thing to say, coaches, you guys run the show, and I'm referring here to Sheens, if they know what they're doing. But obviously, it's clear to see Sheens is well past it. I mean, he's got the runs in the late 80s and early 90s, but he hasn't done much for 30 years, guys. So I think we're stuck with him now. I don't know what the exit strategy is. I don't know if they feign an illness for him or something and sack him and promote Benji straight away. I mean, we have got an assistant coach in David Ferner who's got some head coaching experience at NRL level, which is something. But other than that, guys, the coaching cabinet's pretty thin, and it's unfair on the legends of the club to be in this situation because it can only come out looking terrible. Like, if this doesn't work, then it's going to be a stain on Benji, it's going to be a stain on Robbie, and it's unwarranted and it's unfair.
Right, so here's some clips from the Triple M Sunday with Jimmy Graham, James Hooper, and Dobbo, and who was the other person? Gordon Tallis. So they're touching on this whole Pascoe fiasco as well.
It's a little bit of a protected species society at the top level of the club, the decision makers on the board. There's no way that fans or members can get any sort of voice with them. Spare me with that Ask the Boss podcast gibberish. Well, I don't know any other CEO who does that.
No.
Gordy, to your point, yeah, they landed some bigger name players, but let's not forget on all the ones that they've missed out on when they've thrown the kitchen sink at them. Like, they've offered over for people like Latrell Mitchell. And, you know, that was half of the reason why Sheens came back in, because he could. It was like, we're going to leave the CEO out of the negotiation. That first meeting when you go to a club, like the rumours around.
Is that the CEO or is that the organisation?
Well, it's the organisation, but you've got to have a good salesperson in there to sell the vision of the club, and
you've got to have a product to sell. No. You've got to have a product to sell.
You've got to have a product to sell.
And what are they trying to sell?
Well, yeah, that's.
You mean like Mitchell Moses, right?
Was big salesman. A good salesman can, sell ice to the Eskimos, but he obviously.
Some good points there by Jimmy Graham. Obviously, being an experienced player, Rob, he knows what he's talking about there. And a lot of people, look, I'll admit I was one of the people that are saying still that Pascoe's put us in a good financial position and that sort of thing. So he is doing a good job. But as we've come to learn over the last, couple of years at least, yeah, just the negotiations he's in on. He is part of what the stuff that's happened in terms of football, and you can't deny it. It's a fact. We've had guests come on the show, and you can't deny that is the poor football decisions that have happened have come through him.
We can't lose that stench or stigma having the same people there, Josh. And they were another couple of examples of looking in the rearview mirror. Don't get me wrong. I'd have Tedesco and Moses at our club tomorrow. But again, it's going back into the past. It's going back to fix up a mistake. We let go of Tedesco by prioritising the signing of Moses Suli by Justin Pascoe. That's how we lost Tedesco, okay? He basically said, Moses Suli, you're more important than James Tedesco. So we lost Tedesco, we try and get him back. We lost Moses, we try and get him back. We lost Farah, we got him back. We lost Marshall, we got him back. We're just going through this revolving door, guys. It's just a revolving door. They don't understand how it looks from the outside. And they think And I'm not just referring to the chairman and the CEO. I'm talking about the pop gun board as well, the ones that sit there and let these blokes make the mistakes and just sit comfortably in their jobs, not wanting to upset the apple cart. They just don't know what it is like looking from the outside in. They all think they're doing a wonderful job. They pat each other on the back, and we're 0-5 again, 2 years in a row. And it's not just the 0-5. It's just knowing what's coming. It's just like there's no hope going forward. We know what the team's going to look like tomorrow. We know who they're going to stick with. We know they're playing musical positions again. It's just the same old stuff, guys. It's just I just don't see a way out of it. Talking to another friend today, I basically said, we might beat the Dolphins if they're missing 5 or 6 players, or you catch St George on a powder puff day of one of theirs like they had against Cronulla last weekend. You might be a chance, but where do we get a win from, guys? It's really, really bad. We've won one of our last 19 now, and as a club, we've lost 9 in a row.
Yeah, we'll get to the football, and we'll get to we will go back to. I have got Sheensy's press conference stuff, so we will talk about the game itself just a little bit more. There's so much good stuff from James Graham, so here's a little bit more from him.
You just don't need it. You've got to have the self-awareness. If you're in a position like the CEO, it's how you dress that is important. And also, if you're the person that's in charge, like the CEO generally would make decisions, you should be there observing. You should be observing what people are doing. And if you are in the changing room at halftime, observe and listen. Get off your phone and observe and listen to what Tim Sheens is saying. And you might actually learn something, because if you've got to go back to your owners and make a decision on Tim Sheens, how is he in the dressing room? I don't know. I was looking at my socials. If you are, should he even be in there in the first place? No. But then if he is there, he's got. Sometimes you see, the figureheads of the organisation post game. Observe. Don't flick through your phone. That can wait. That can wait. He should be observing and seeing what Tim Sheens is up to. Is he saying the right things? Are the people in the room the right people to be in the room? I don't get why he's there. I don't get why he's on his phone.
I've been saying for the past 18 months, this bloke is a complete paddle pop lion and a complete pretender as a CEO. If you go back to when he began in that position 8 years ago, the Tigers have got progressively worse under his watch. Now, he'll argue that he helped build the centre of excellence. Plenty of people would say, well, at the moment you'd call that the centre of mediocrity, because it certainly hasn't done anything to transform results around. They have got a barbershop in the centre of excellence.
Wow.
So that's really helping them out in terms of results on the field at this point in time. You can't blame him for last night's result.
No.
But you can, and these blokes both know because they've been part of football clubs that have been super successful. That's not the image that you can have.
We shouldn't be talking about a CEO. We shouldn't. The CEO should be not even mentioned.
But didn't he go get
a bad look?
Shocking
look.
Such
a bad look that you just don't need. He should be professional. Like the being on your phone in the dressing room, it's like a disinterest.
Yeah,
it's a disinterest in focusing on what's important. It like as a player, what you see the most powerful man of the organisation is just on his phone. Like it's so casual. It's just too.
But he's not delivering the message.
No, I know he's not, Gordy, but he's part of the environment. And we don't realise how much we respond to the environment, and it's subconscious most of the time. You see the CEO just casually on his phone. Well, like, what? He's not in. We're 26-0 down.
As a few jokes made by Hooper in there, it's getting beyond embarrassing. Like, obviously, wins change all this, but just literally the jokes just keep on coming about this club.
Yeah, embarrassing is an understatement at this point. We are a joke of the club. We all know it. I mentioned after the game on Twitter on Saturday night that we get to put up with another week of just being a meme or a joke of the club, and it's ridiculous. We as fans don't deserve it. The players don't deserve to be put through it. And it all comes back down to basically the two people at the top of the club, the CEO and the board chairperson who walks around with a friggin' fedora on his head everywhere he goes.
Rob, anything before we move on to Sheensy and the game itself? Anything else to add there? I feel like a paddle pop now.
Look, I think there's a couple of key things there. Like Jimmy Graham was a little bit mixed in his messages. You can't say he shouldn't be there or he should be there. Justin Pascoe should be there. I've got no problem with the front office being in that room, trying to show unity, trying to show one team, trying to show no disconnect. But what Jimmy Graham says there, that's correct. If you really care, get off your phone. Be in there. Be hurting with the team when you're down 26-0 at halftime. That shows that you care. That shows leadership. Not walking over on the side of the room saying, hey, babe, how do I look on camera? You know what I mean? Like, he knows there's a camera in there and he knows he shouldn't be on the phone. Show you care. If you really care about the club and you want to be a leader, sit in there, sit on a chair, sit solemnly or stand at the back of the room and just show you care like we cared. Like we were sitting at halftime thinking, how the hell are we going to get back into this effing game? That's what we were thinking. But that's just another poor look. And what it does show, Josh, the bloke's not a natural leader. He is an imposter. Like, look, someone said today, I thought it was quite a good phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think that sums up James Hooper to me. Because I'm not a fan of his, but boy, did he touch exactly what I wanted to say. And if anyone hasn't read his article or his blog on Fox Sports, have a look at it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, at halftime.
Quick question for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Do you know, like you probably know this better than I do, which is not at all, but do you know how many clubs other than the Tigers have structures where members don't have the right to vote?
I think most of them, Aaron, don't have the right to vote. I think the only ones that come to mind are Canterbury and Parramatta, which is, look, in some way, that's actually, you know, it can go bad when the fans keep chopping and changing with having different boards, which is what they'll say. But right now, it just feels hopeless because we know there's nothing, unless there's a scandal within the club where Lee or Justin has to stand down, they're not standing down, guys. We're just stuck with these guys who aren't competent. They try. I'm not saying they don't try, but they're not competent to get things right, whether it's identifying talented coaches coming through the system or identifying players as to who to re-sign. What they've done now is they've actually realised a year ago, you know what? Everyone's right. We have no clue. Let's wash our hands of all those big decisions and give it to Sheens. And that's what they've done. So now they can hide behind Sheens and the coaching staff for 5 years and no one can blame them, or they think no one can blame them. I'm certainly going to keep the heat on them and keep blaming them because this club is terminally ill, guys. I mean, yeah, our finances are great. You got people like me who have watched the game for over 50 years and I'm not going to watch this week. I swear to you, I'm not going to watch this week. Like it's just not fun. I love doing the podcast. I love watching my footy. And when I watch a Tigers game, it hurts. And when I know I've got to do this, I'm fine now. But getting myself psyched up to do this pod is literally a chore for me now because I hate talking about the state this club is in right now. And they don't need to say the right things. They need to do the right things. I've had messages today with people high up in the club, and he said, look, I'm sorry to hear that. I respect your opinion. We need to change how you think. And I'm thinking, no, fix it. If you fix it, how I think will change automatically. So just fix it. How they fix it, I'm being honest, I don't know how now. They are in so deep. I just don't know how we're going to get out of it, guys. And it goes further than that, Josh. It goes to players. Why would you want to come to our club now? We've got so much cap space. Why would you come to our club? What player manager that cares for the welfare of their player is going to send their player to our club? Look at Dane Laurie and look at Adam Dewey for two players right now that were on top of the world a month ago that just look like a shadow of themselves. Like Dane Laurie's not even in first grade. But Adam just looks like a shadow of the player he was a month ago. And I'm not having a go at him. I'm one of his biggest fans. But I'm just showing you how if you come to our club, you can just go from, the penthouse to the basement really quickly. So why would you come to the West Tigers unless you're getting your final contract for a lump sum of money as a retirement thing? Because right now we should be throwing the keys at someone like Jonah Pezzett. Why would Jonah Pezzett come to us? Seriously. Even if we offered him 800 grand a year, why would he come to us and potentially ruin his career, knowing who our leaders are at the club and knowing who our coach is that he's past it? So we've got bigger problems than just getting a halfback. How do you get him to our club?
I think Gary in our comments is the person that took the photo of Pascoe. Famous photographer, Gary. Just talking, you mentioned watching the team. So watching the game on Saturday night, my sister came with me. My sister's not into footy at all. And she also knows Shane as well. So my sister's best friend is Shane's missus. So she knows Shane and I and how much we love the football, but she'd never been to a game with me before. It was actually the first time. And I apologize to everyone sitting around me. Shouts to Evan, who I chatted to at halftime. He was sitting not far behind me. And man, and my sister's just, I'm yelling and screaming nonstop to my voice is nearly, and you guys know me, I'm pretty calm, quiet person. And my sister growing up kind of saw that with me. She's like, why do you do this? Why do you put yourself through this stress? And I didn't have an answer for her. I'm like, I don't know. I've done it for 30 years. I just can't, you can't just switch it off. You're emotionally invested. I bought you a ticket for Monday as well, Rob. That's all right. I'll try and find someone else to come along.
Sorry, buddy. I'll pay you for it. Don't worry. I won't go.
No, it's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It is like a car crash. You got to keep watching it. I can't bring myself, and I get that stance. I still have to keep watching and watching and watching and watching until literally I keel over, and it does literally kill me. But yeah, but each to their own. I totally get it. I'm also walking distance to the stadium as well, so I can't miss it. It's my favorite game of the year. I was there last year, and it was worth it. I went to Combank last year and was one probably top 5 West Tigers regular season games I've seen. So I get it. But onto the game itself, we've got a bit of Sheensy. I'll go back. Yeah, bit of Sheensy pressure. Sheensy presser from after the game. So here is Sheensy talking about Bateman.
Performance from him? He's getting better, yeah. Played with an issue tonight too that most people wouldn't. Came back out the second half when he probably shouldn't have, but he's a tough kid. There's no doubt about that. So he's added some steel to our forwards. So I'm looking forward to the season developing and him developing within our team, given that he's done no pre-season with us at all. So, he's turned up, although it was cooler here than it was last week, but Johnny at the moment still hasn't got his son.
Nope, that's from last week's press conference. Scrap that. I just realised that's from the game last week. I actually put the wrong audio up. Let's go on the game itself. 46-12, 8 tries to the Broncos. I'll go to you first. Where do we start here? Obviously, the first half, 28-0. It felt like deja vu for me. We looked like we had a bit of ball and just couldn't capitalize. And then as soon as the Broncos got a sniff, I felt like the referee a little bit. I don't know. I was at the ground. It's kind of hard to tell. I was also in the corner, the opposite corner of where we were attacking in the first half. It seemed like the referee was a little bit rough and given a few home ground calls and kind of gave Broncos a bit of momentum. I'm not blaming the ref for losing 46-12, but look, it was an uphill battle from the start.
Yeah, well, I'm first of all, I missed the first 25 minutes because I was still driving to Sydney. But to walk in and see us already down 16-0 at the time, I think it was, and things not looking very, very good at all. And then seeing what I could see from the team, I heard that we made one really good breakdown. I think it was Junior Tupou's side, about 5, 6, 7 minutes in. Is that correct?
Correct.
How did that play end? Did one of you guys want to fill me in?
Yeah, so that's probably, I mean, it's terrible to say because we literally need everything to go our way, Aaron, but it was really unfortunate because I think Junior Tupu was one of our best players. It was a backline movement. I haven't rewatched the game, but I'm pretty sure it was a backline movement. Adam does a face ball, cuts out the centre, gets it to Tupu. Tupu flies down the left wing. He's got Kapoa inside. Kapoa's got Adam Reynolds behind him. He's just got to pass it inside, and it's a try. And Junior Tupu kicks the ball ahead, and the ball takes a bit of a wicked bounce, and obviously we don't get the ball. And I just felt that would have been it wasn't just like a fluky try. It would have been a great try if Junior had just taken the right option, pass inside, Kapoa scores, maybe we get the kick and we're 6-0 up. And even if we ended up losing the game, I think it would have been a more respectable scoreline. But we're at that point, Aaron, where everything's got to go our way. But look, one good thing about, obviously we didn't get to hear the presser with Sheensy. One good thing, Sheens didn't really blame the referees or anything, and I shouldn't be blaming the referees over a 46-12 loss, but geez, we copped it. We copped it like from the get-go. Penalties for holding down, 6 again repeats. They scored a couple of tries where they ran behind their own player, which didn't affect the play, but they ran behind their own player with a ball. That's just a penalty to us. They review it.
Pass call on
Adam. I was going to say that the forward pass call against us in the second half, and then the immediate set following, they go down the other end and score off a forward pass.
Yeah, so it just felt to me, even if we'd have played well, Aaron, I just felt like even if we played well, that ref was not going to give us a chance. I think the penalties were 5-0 at one stage. I don't even know what the repeat sets were. I think the penalties might have ended up 8-2 or 6-2, but at one stage it was like 5-0. And like, you know what, mate, give us a break. And then he even penalised us for, being offside from the kickoff. Like, admittedly, it was a significant distance, but guys, that happens every game in every kickoff almost.
Yeah,
it's just like they just want to get us. I don't know. It's just we're going bad enough as it is. We don't need the refs to help another team. We're going to lose regardless. Like, just give us a break, refs. Seriously.
Yeah, again,
they attempt to do the old get square with the penalty count a little bit more towards the end of the game.
Didn't really. I was expecting that. He didn't really come. What was the penalty count in the end?
I think it was 8-2 or something like that, or 6-2.
Yeah, 8-2.
Yeah, and then the other thing, did you guys see the shot of the referee shaking hands with Reece Walsh?
I did see that.
It was like he just met Rihanna. Like, you should have seen, he was like all goggle eyes and just like in awe of, like he was in front of royalty or something. I'm just, the ref didn't give us a go anyway, guys. But, I'm really nitpicking at a 46-12 scoreline, but he certainly didn't help.
A few stats up on the screen now for those watching the video. Completion rate this week as 25-34 compared to the Broncos. Broncos 36-47. I honestly felt like the Broncos, I said it to the Broncos fans sitting in front of me, I don't reckon it was probably their least, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, their least good, their worst. Like, I want to say worst, but like, it doesn't sound right to say worst performance, but it probably wasn't their least good performance of the year. The Tigers just made it easy for them.
Yeah, like I'll say compare possession and completions. They had barely over half of possession, but in the end, they still managed to complete more sets than we even had with the ball to begin with, and they still had a higher completion rate than we did.
Yeah,
despite making as many errors as they did, their completion rate was still higher than ours. Like, it was far from our worst game. Holding the ball wise, we did a lot better in that regard. We just didn't really get a lot of opportunities to do much of anything with it.
Yeah, just over 20% of their completions ended up in tries. You know what I mean? So what they completed.
Exactly.
So it's not too hard, but like, it's also what they do with the ball. Like, I think for the Broncos, games like that don't help because they literally went side to side as soon as they could. They really tried to get us on the shift and the spread, and they got us most times. They bombed a lot of tries as well. So I think that, when you play games like that, you just get in that little bit of a bad habit of throwing it around too much and just not going through the middle and going through the forwards. But they were scoring at will. And but like I said, off the back of a lot of penalties and a lot of 6 agains, that was just my take on it.
run meters 500 more to the Broncos, 1953 to 1446. So they'll just eating up the meters. But when you got an extra 13 sets, I guess if you average that out, it's it's not good. Just not enough ball. It just sucks just watching the game and just knowing we need like you said earlier, Rob, we've got everything to go right for us, and every time we have the ball, it's frustrating. And I think the players kind of feel it. Every time we have the ball, we feel like we need to take advantage of that opportunity, and when we don't, like it just heads go down and confidence is gone. But as soon as the Broncos did, they pretty much made something out of nothing. Errors, Broncos 15-11. So as said, wasn't that untidy. The penalty count 8-2, absolutely disgusting. And again, I want to apologise to all the parents sitting around me. The kids, I mean, they're Queenslanders. They probably swear anyway. Let's be honest, but they might have learnt some new words, and when a few of those referee decisions happened as well. Anything else that grabs you stats wise?
There was one thing I wanted to talk about. I think it might have been the kick return meters. I mean, that's normally an indictment on how good the kicking game of the other team's kicker is. Like when you got Adam Reynolds, you're gonna kick us into corners a lot. We're not going to get many chances to run the ball away. But I had a look at the stats on the NRL website. We had 2 players who ran for a total. All of our players ran for a total of like 68 or 71 meters or something like that. And the Broncos made that with 2 players. Their fullback, Reece Walsh, had 60 run meters. Their number 2 winger, Jesse Arthurs, I think it was, had 8 or 10 or something like that. So not all that many. But then they still had 3 other players, and I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I was looking at it just before. I'll pull it up now. It was one of the guys off the bench too. Where are we? I'll be there in just a second. Selwyn Cobbo, 46, Payne Haas, 42, and Corey Jensen, all 22. So that's another 100-odd run meter or kick return meters compared to what we had as a team.
Yeah, I guess they're not kicking as much.
Like they got their sets off to a much better start because of the extra kick return meters, while we had Brooksy, I think he made like 7 or 8 runs or something, maybe 8 or 9 meters per run. So not all that productive, although I did like the fact that he was trying to run it more. It just wasn't working as effectively as it could.
Rob, anything else before we move on to lower grades and the player ratings?
No, there's really not much to say about that game other than that it's probably the first time that our defence has fallen away, and we've really been blown out in the game, which is coincidental with our round 5 game last year against Cronulla when I think they won something like 36-0. Well, 36-4 or whatever, because I think Ken Mamalo took an intercept on full time. But we've got blown out in both round 5 games.
That's right. I was at the Grand Prix. I was at the Grand Prix, and I have never seen that game, and I probably never will.
Yeah, don't.
The Grand Prix was good yesterday. I don't know if you good boys watched it, but on to Mobile Corp, our partners. So Stephen, shout out to Stephen from Mobile Corp. So they can assist with anything IT related, and in the early days, they were under a different business name. They were the major sponsor of Balmain, known as MLC Phones. And they say there's a saying in IT, there are only 2 types of companies, those who have been hacked and those who will be hacked. So what can business owners do to protect themselves from cyber attack? Mobile Corp is a family-run tech company that supports West Tigers and was even the jersey sponsor back in 2007. Mobile Corp is also passionate about helping protect businesses from cyber threats. For an affordable cyber security solution, go to mobilecorp.com.au. And shouts to our friend Shane Walker, former Sydney Tiger himself. Right, New South Wales Cup, they got a win on a rainy Lidcombe Oval. I know a lot of people were pretty mad that the West Tigers social people person they didn't post about it till this morning. There was no one even live. I swear they used to live tweet scores. The New South Wales RL app. I was literally coming from the airport to Lickham Station to be picked up. I was literally down the road from the game, getting off the plane from Brisbane. So I just didn't make it back in time to go watch it. But yeah, the social's not posting anything about lower grades at all. I don't know. Like, Rob, do you feel like the clubs, I know they can't do anything right, and anything they post in social media at the moment, I do feel for them, because it's anything they post at the moment will just get hammered with negative stuff. But this win by the Maggies kind of went through unnoticed.
Well, how hard is it to just keep an update on the score?
You
don't even have to make a comment. Just put the score up: 6-0, 6-all, 12-6, whatever the case may be. They don't have to get likes on it. They don't. I don't know. Like I said, I just think it filters from top to bottom within the club, guys. We don't get much right.
Yeah. So yeah, good on the Magpies getting up over the Warriors. They ran in 3 tries the first 14 minutes, so they got off to a great start and held them off. So it'll be interesting to see if any call-ups on team list tomorrow afternoon. So in the table, Maggies are sitting in 7th on 4 points. So they're 2 wins, 2 losses now. So in the top 8. So
there should be
graders.
3 wins and 2 losses, because they played 5 rounds as well as us.
Okay, that ladder, I got it from New South Wales RL's website last night.
They haven't updated it yet.
They mustn't have updated it. Yeah. Yeah, blame them, not me. I could have re-looked at it today, but it should have been updated. This was midnight last night that I was working on this. So in the juniors,
serves you right for being prepared, Josh.
Yeah, prepared too early. Harold Matts had a bye, but the SG Ball team got a big win, 42-10, over the Warriors in Pukekohe. And in the Balmain juniors, Harold Matts lost 26-16 against the Raiders at Leichhardt, and then SG Ball lost 28-0. So the Balmain team's getting a little bit of a touch up from. Don't like seeing Balmain losing to the Raiders, Rob. Bit of trauma seeing that.
No,
those sort of ones, but no Chicka Ferguson in those games. So in the Harold Matts table, we have I don't even know if these are updated. Then the Balmain are in 8th and Magpies are 10th. I think their season hits the semi-finals next week. Does that mean Balmain made the finals? I should have looked that up. I did hear today. I think it's the end. I think it is semi-finals for them.
I think the comps are over for the junior grades now. They all have a bye this week or something, and then they get into the finals next week.
So Maggie's in SG Ball 5th, and Tigers are down in 13th. So it looks like we might have one of each in Harold Matts and SG Ball. Oh, Craig's saying it's the top 6. So Magpies make it. Okay, so Magpies, SG Ball will fly the flag for us. So
that means
to them.
Sorry, Josh, could you bring that ladder back up?
Yep. So this is SG Ball.
So that means Eels versus the Magpies, and if we win that, we'd play the Panthers for a spot in the grand final in the 6-team format.
Okay. I'll take you're the stats. That's why you're the stats, man. Thanks. The girls, they both had buys on the weekend. Right, time for player grades. We'll go player by player. Let us know in the comments if you're watching live. So we asked all our beloved fans out there to fill in their forms and rate the players 1 to 10. So keep an eye out on our socials after the game finishes to submit yours. And I've got up a few of the best comments from those forms as well. So we'll go player by player. Boys, give me your rating for Adam Dewey. I sigh because, might be the worst game of his career. But what are your ratings for Adam? Az?
2.
Yeah, guys, I didn't tell you this, but I kind of come into tonight not even wanting to give anyone a rating because I just think, the welfare of the players is just sort of more important than me saying someone played crap or someone played good. So I'm just going to be giving everyone a 5. So you might want to just go to Aaron for.
I think a lot of people dig because if you look at the forwards, they're literally they're all around that sort of mark.
Yeah, but the guys that had better games, and for example, Junior Tupu, Bateman without that error that led to the Cobbo try, and Sean Bloor, I think, played reasonably well. I just don't want to really single out the bad players, so I'm just going to be giving 5s to everyone.
Okay. As I'll get you to play along then. Charlie Staines.
I'd give Charlie a 5.
He got 4.5. Kepa Oa.
A 4.
He got 5.4. So a little bit high. Yeah, I thought Kepa looks okay. Stafford Toa.
Stafford, I'll give him a 4.
3.8, so you're pretty close there. Look, I thought Stafford tried pretty hard. He made a pretty good try-saving tackle on... Who's the opposite? I'm trying to think who it was. He made a pretty good tackle right in front of me at the game. Junior Tupo as
7.
Only 5.7. Yeah, I think that's a little bit harsh on Tupo. I thought he, as Rob said earlier, he made one bad decision, but I thought he was running the ball back as hard as anyone. Feel free, if you any comments for any players, positive or whatever, Rob, feel free to
that was our best back. Like Junior Tupo was our best back. And
he's
honestly,
a shining light this year.
I've said it before, so I've got to be fair. I haven't been a Kapoa fan, but again, he had a pretty solid game.
Wakeham as
5.
4.4. Yeah, Wakeham. Yeah, he kind of unnoticed. We don't really expect him to do much more than just be a 5, I guess. But poor old Luke Brooks as.
Like I said, I like that he's trying to run a bit more. He just didn't pick the right moments to run. He barely made any, he didn't really attack the line as much as his running game normally can, but I'll give him a 3.
Rob, I'll ask you this on Brooksy. To me, he just looks disinterested and not into it. Do you think Brooksy's trying hard? Do you think his heart's fully in it?
I thought it was Saturday night. I mean, it's very clear what I said last week about not wanting Brooks in the team, and I said that 3 weeks ago. Aaron's made a really good point there. It's just not about running. It's about, you run when there's a hole there. Your job as a halfback is to put other players that are in better positions than you to run. He kind of almost played like a lock. I've never seen a halfback do so many hit-ups in terms of run-pass ratio. And I can honestly say it's not his fault we lost. I mean, he didn't play like a halfback, but he's not the reason we lost. But I just thought, what was his role? Was his role literally when you catch the ball, run, get us on the front foot? Because I didn't see him doing any organising or trying to create anything. I just think they really simplified it a bit. So, yeah, I'm just... We'll talk about it Wednesday, obviously, but I'm just really intrigued as to what they're going to do Wednesday night, because I think even if not that they're going to do it, but even if they went with Wakeham and Dewey in the halves, the horses bolted 3 weeks later. You put Wakeham in at halfback when you've won a trial and you've won 2 games in a row in New South Wales Cup, and you got confidence oozing out of you. You don't make him halfback after 3 losses, and by all reports, he'll probably get dropped. He might not even be in the team tomorrow night. So again, I just think our players are getting mismanaged, and so I just don't know what the answers are. I don't know what they're going to do. I just don't know what they're going to do tomorrow night. But I can be pretty sure of one thing, and it's terrible of me to say, whatever they do tomorrow night will probably be wrong, because that's what they've done all year.
Maybe. A wrong clock is right twice a day, as they say. Onto the forwards. I thought our forwards, they've all got pass marks here. So, yeah, you can't really fault that much of the forwards. David Clemmer as
6.
Yeah, 5.7 for Clem. He ran it pretty hard. Appy Coruscant, who I feel absolutely sorry for. I thought, again, he just doesn't have people going with him. But as
5.
It's 5.7 for Appy. Twally.
6.
5.4 for Twally. Again, yeah, tried hard. Just I feel like Twal's just like around that 5 mark every week. He just does his job without kind of standing out. Isaiah Papali'i.
6.
5.6. Yeah, again, just we're not utilising him to the player that he is as well. Johnny Bateman.
I'd be curious to see how Johnny Bateman goes at lock, given his style of play, the try he set up against the Storm, and the style of game he had on the weekend. I'd consider trialing him at lock and seeing how he goes there for a week or two, because at this point our season's a lost cause. Why not try and shake things up and try some new things? But I'd give him a 7 based on this week.
In saying that, though, Fanua Pole, I thought he's been pretty good, though.
Yeah, I thought Fanua was pretty good too. I'd give him probably about a 6. But I feel like he is more of a prop forward, or potentially a bench prop forward, as opposed to a lock. I'd love to be proven wrong, but yeah, potentially try and shake things up and see how John Bateman goes there.
Yeah, 5.7 for Noah. So the bench, Stefano coming off the bench. Did you like Stefano coming off the bench, Rob?
In theory, I did, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons. You do want to start with your best players, but we all know Alex Twal isn't an impact player. So if you're trying to get through that grind early, you want to have, Twally take the heat out of the game and bring Stefano on. So I didn't mind it from that point of view. And I got to agree with Aaron about John Bateman. I think because we've got no creativity in the halves, we need a ball-playing lock. Yeah. And even though he's a little bit unorthodox, John Bateman tends to run sideways and just gets the defensive line of the opposition just out of sorts a little bit, which throws them off. I mean, like I said, unfortunately, he threw a bad pass, an attempted pass to
Papa,
yeah, that went to Cobbo for a try. But I mean, it's not for want of trying or anything like that. I mean, his attempt on Payne Haas wasn't great either, although Adams wasn't much better after Bateman missed. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, I think Bateman was our best player. But I think give him a go at lock, like as said. I mean, we can put Sean Bloor on one side, we've got Papali'i on the other side, but we've got to find a way to try and spark this attack, Josh, because other than the chance that we mentioned with Tupu not passing to Kapoa, our tries came from a bomb and a half a metre dummy half run. Like we literally, we don't look like scoring a try in the regular way, and John Bateman seems to be the one that can provide a bit of a spark.
Speaking of spark, Jake Simpkin, I thought a little bit of a spark. The game was over when he came on, but 6.3 for him. What did you give him as?
I gave Jake a 7. I thought he was pretty good. We all know he likes to scoot from dummy half, and that was a pretty good try where he like a great dummy and fooled them. Just a shame it didn't really spark the team into better things, because from the ensuing set we end up making an error.
Yeah. Justin Matamua.
Yeah, I'm trying with Justin to not be too hypercritical, because of the fact that, like I've said on the show before, I don't think he's ready yet, but I thought he was decent on the weekend, so I'd give him a 6.
Yeah, 5.7. And then my guy, Sean Bloor, he got the highest rating of the whole team. A man that wasn't even picked in the first 17 originally, only gets in the team because Brent Naden is out and Kepa Oa gets shuffled into the centres. He comes out. I counted, he got put on his back once, I believe, the whole game, because I obviously keep a close eye on him more than most other players. He'd either offload the ball, or he just was left on his feet and play the ball on his feet. Like he's just unbelievable. Like in terms of creating, his offloads are just so good, and they're not like offloads that pop out. He's literally got his whole arm free, like almost making a pass to the person behind him. So yeah, I thought Sean. I'm biased, obviously, but I thought Sean had a great game.
Yeah, he was definite man of the match for me too. I'd give him an 8.
Anything about our guy, Rob?
I agree with both of what you said. I mean, I think he's pressing for a starting spot. Again, like I mean, I sound like a bit of a hypocrite because I'm worried about the welfare of the players, and I couldn't give two hoots about the welfare of the coach or the administration. But I mean, we saw how Sean played against Melbourne, which was quite good. We saw Alex Seyfarth's last 25 minutes, which was really good, and for some reason they didn't make the 17. I mean, Sean was a late inclusion. So again, I have to question what the coach is thinking and what he's watching. And I just want to ask you guys to both put your 10 cents worth on this. I don't even want to go into it because I hate the bloke. What did you think of Sheen saying that we might have trouble beating the bye?
Yeah, not a good look to kind of. Yeah, and it's just added to the basket of embarrassing things the club has done the past few years.
Yeah, that's something for the fans to joke about, and not the coach of the club. Because if he's saying that we might struggle to, or joking about struggling to beat the bye, how does he honestly feel about our chances against Parramatta on Monday? To me, that sounds like he's given up on Monday, and he's not even thinking about that. He's looking to after the bye.
Well, even said as a joke. Even said as a joke, how do the players look at him and look at him with 100% respect? Seriously. Like, it's okay for, like you said, one of the fans or one of us to jokingly say it in frustration. He's meant to be the leader of the football organisation, and he's just thrown them under the bus, so to speak. We keep using the bus as an analogy, but that was just awful. Absolutely awful. And honestly, that was just a Joe Biden moment.
Shane's got 2.1 in the ratings, by the way. Right. So a few of the best comments.
Before you move on, Josh, honorary votes to Joffa in New South Wales Cup. Obviously, I couldn't watch the game or anything like that, but based on his stats, 10 out of 10, should be back in the team this week.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, it's crazy that he was one of our best players last year. He's not getting picked.
But he's also shown, like, he was our club champion last year. He won the award. He's been dropped after, 3 games, and he's missed the last 2. But he's shown how professional a player can be by going down to reserve grade, going about his business, performing his ass off, and trying to get back into the team. A lot of the players at our club could learn from that.
Here. Best comments left in to put in this poll. So Billy Smith, can Tim Sheens give the halftime speech before the game, and perhaps we'll get a different result in the first half? So a bit of a joke there from Billy. I quite liked that one. From Dominic Riordan, positives tonight. Stefano looks on the improve. Blore really dug in and looked very dangerous, and Simpkin was good off the bench. Staines tried hard. The coach seems out of ideas. The players are like strangers. 5 games into the season, the players don't seem to buy in on the plan. If there is a plan, there is no resilience. So good one there. Nino Di Girolamo. I hope I pronounced your name right there, but it sounds Italian, so usually pretty good at the Italian names. Genuinely thought the 4 bench players were some of our best tonight. Steph and Matamua both damaging with their runs and ball playing, while Blore may have been one of, if not our best player on the field for us. So obviously I'm going to bring that up. You give my guy Sean Blore a compliment. There were a lot of Sean Blore compliments among the comments, to be fair. Ben, punished for every single little mistake. The Broncos halves showed ours exactly how to do it, and that golf inequality was one of the main reasons we got pumped. Yeah, the Broncos were just clinical, absolutely, and yeah, that's why they're undefeated. Right at Patreon time to open up the Discord to see what the guys have got for us this week. The Discord's been firing up. Someone's talking about fishing at the moment. That kind of put me off before. There's all sorts of discussions going on in the Patreon 24/7 now. Patreon.com/Westlife. If you'd like to support us, what have they got for us here? Riff Raff, what's the way out from here? Thoughts on this? No more huge plays for superstar halves. Invest in who we have coming and buy the best young half out there, like the Dolphins did with Katoa, then pair him with a steady hand like Caesar. This took the great Raiders to a grand final. They had Hodgson directing a lot of play. We have Appy. He's off contract and 31 caveat. I've watched no Super League this season and not sure how he's going leads mid-table, if not him, someone in that mould. So basically talking about, do we throw a young halfback? We'll talk about that part of the question, pulling a young halfback and throwing him. We're looking for our next Luke Brooks, essentially. Thoughts on that, Rob?
I think we go for a young halfback. I don't really want to get. I mean, George Williams is a great player, but don't want to get him in 2025 when he's off contract and in his 30s or whatever. So, again, it's me having a go at the staff. But if Sheens is a development coach, then why can't we get a half, train him up, show him how we want to play, and turn him into a player? Or are we just going to have coaches that need to buy a Mitch Moses or an Adam Reynolds or a Jerome Hughes, or a Daly Cherry Evans? Like, otherwise, if we're just going to buy superstars, I can go coach the team. You're meant to be teaching these players how to be better, developing them, and you're also meant to select the right team. That's part of the criteria of being a coach. But if we're just going to be buying the best player on the market and they're saying, oh, suddenly he can coach, it doesn't work like that. It shouldn't work like that. For example, if Nico Hines was in our team and we're sitting 3 out of 5, we'd be saying, oh, Sheens can still coach. But, I mean, you've just bought the player and the player's doing all that work. So I think we've got to bite the bullet, guys, and really develop our players. And I think the one club we need to look to and how they do it is Penrith. I know they've got Nathan Cleary, but the reality is Luai could play halfback. And you look at all the other players they've got and all the other players that they're losing, whether it be to us or to Canterbury or other clubs, they just seem to have a pool of not just great talent, they're ready to go in first grade once they get there. So Penrith lost a couple of players last year, and Targo and Taylor May came in the left centre and left wing, and it looked like they'd been playing for years. We need to have a system below us where we've got that sort of development happening. So someone goes down, bang, we put someone in first grade. They know exactly what we're doing. Right now, it's just not showing. And other clubs have got players that have had 10 games, 15 games, 20 games. I mean, you look at Newcastle, like we talk about Jackson Hastings. Their fullback, Lockie Miller, only had a handful of games for Cronulla, and he's had 5 games for Newcastle, and he looks like a pretty decent player. Tyson Gamble hardly got a look in Brisbane, and he's been shunted into 5'8", and they've still won a couple of games. We're almost at full strength without Salau and without Naden, and we're struggling. And 3 of the 5 teams we've played have been under strength. So I just think we've got to look inside our own house and get it right. And yeah, it'd be lovely to buy a halfback from somewhere else, but why can't we get someone from within? How hard is it to teach them to straighten up and attack, or to kick properly, or to set up your support? We've got one of the greatest ever in Benji Marshall there. What are we doing?
Tim Colgate, he's gone on a nice little rant here, complimenting basically us, which is really nice, Tim. We really appreciate it. I won't read all of it out on the air, but we appreciate you. He said, win, lose, or draw, I'll always be a West Tigers fan and go the Tigers, and he loves being a part of our Westlife community. So love you back, Timmy. Ben Ellis, he's mentioning Will Smith. So he said he played pretty well at New South Wales Cup. Do we bring him up to a top 30 spot as?
Are we able to? Or is he on one of the train and trials? Or one of those ones that can't?
We have a free spot, don't we? So we can just upgrade. We can just upgrade him.
Also, the train and trials can be upgraded at any time.
You can just sign him. Yeah.
At this stage, what have we got to lose if we do? Like I said before, the season's a lost cause. Bring him up, give him a shot, see what he's able to do.
Yeah, well, maybe Will Smith is a slap in the face this team needs, Rob.
Nice one. Oh, look, maybe, I don't know. I mean, whether you bring him in now, but bring players in that are playing confidently and ready to go. Don't give him the keys after 3 losses. Wakeham should have been handed the keys after our round 2 loss. He should have been the starting halfback in round 3, and I think we would have seen a different Brandon Wakeham, not the Brandon Wakeham that doesn't know if he should be taking control or not. Because other than putting a bomb up for a try, I really didn't see Brandon Wakeham try and do too much the other night.
Last one is Gussie. He said, "Josh, is it intimidating being at the forefront of sports journalism?" Thanks, Gussie. Yeah, the HEX debt for my journalism diploma is finally paying off. Thanks, buddy. Lastly, our Benji Marshall tier Patreon. So Shane Coet, he gets his little rant every episode. He said, "I read Rothfield's interview with Pascoe today. Wow, have patience, people. We are only a couple of weeks into a 5-year plan. This clown isn't going anywhere and has started as such. His arrogance is as large as his forehead." That's not a bad way to finish, Shane. So it's look, we've had some anti-Pascoe episodes in the past, but this one, look, we were kind of on our own little soapbox talking about that before, but man, the whole media is kind of caught up. So I don't know about you, Rob, but it's kind of like it feels good that it's kind of making us look, I wouldn't say right because it's all opinion, but yeah, a lot of people had a go at us for saying those sort of things. But now that, man, everyone is on our side now.
Well, like I've said to you before, Josh, we're not right about all things, but one thing I was confident about 2 years ago was that Pascoe had to go. And just while we're on that, there's a few other podcasts that, Brown knows, the West Tigers organisation. Suddenly they're apparently on the same bandwagon, all, on hammering Pascoe. So look, we normally end the show with "Go the West Tigers." I'm going to be ending every show "Stand down Pascoe" from now on. I'm not budging. I can't even say "Go the Tigers," guys, because I don't believe we can get a win right now. I literally have no belief in the club, and it's against everything I stand for as a Tiger. Okay, just as simple as that. It really hurts. It really hurts, guys, because I love my footy and I'll watch all the other games and I want to, when we score a try, I just want to get that feeling of euphoria, like we can do it. But right now, it's just like we need halves. We need a halfback. We don't have the answers, and we're gonna put the same wrong answer in every week, and just say that's how it is. Tough luck, and that just shows me, we're devoid of good ideas, from our coach. It is the coach's fault, but who hired the coach? So, the coach and the board are all to blame.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the other guys you mentioned will they be banned from speaking to players now as well? Now that they've had a crack at the management. So
well, I haven't listened to another podcast for probably 9 months, but that's what someone said in our Discord chat tonight, that finally other people, are coming around to the fact that Pascoe isn't the answer. But I just think the only way we get rid of him is, this public pressure, because without that, I mean, we're just got to make it intolerable for them to want to be there and want to stay. I want players to want to come to our club. I want them to say, wow, we've got a really good chairman. This is going to be someone that helps me after my footy career. And this is a really well-respected CEO. We don't have that. So why would you want to come to our club and ruin your career? So I don't care if we've got 2 million to spare in our cap. We're going to have massive problems attracting players. And that bothers me. I don't care if we don't win another game this year. I'm worried, like, what are we going to do next year? Who are we going to get? And then in a few years from now, all these older players are going to retire, and then we got to do it all again. It just doesn't seem like success is around the corner. And from where we were as a supporter base, Josh, about 5 weeks ago to where we are now, it's so deflating. It's really, really deflating.
It is. As anything before we say goodnight to Big Dog?
Let's have something slightly more positive as well to end the night. I just wanted to give my little brother Matthew a shout out for his birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
He was an absolute trooper, spending his day helping unload a truck in the pouring rain. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful to him for helping me out. So
another Aries like yesterday. But apparently we're hyper competitive, Aries. Not that I believe in that bullshit, but that checks out. So Shouts to my fellow Aryan. I think we're called Aryans. Okay, so time of the show when we start rambling on. So that means it's time to head off to bed. Thank you to literally the hundreds of people that join us live tonight, and to literally the thousands of you that tune in every week on all the formats, audio and video. We truly appreciate you coming back to us, and we're truly surprised every week that you do keep coming back, because as Rob said, it's very, very hard to watch the team at the moment, and the fact that you guys come back to us, and we're trying our best not to say the same things over and over again, because the team keep putting up the same shit over and over again. But we'll be back Wednesday. We'll preview. There is a game on Easter Monday, and we'll preview that game on Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. So Teamless Tuesday tomorrow, and we'll talk about all that. See if we can, we've also hopefully got a Parramatta Eels guest, another person to help tell us why we're not going to win. But tune in Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Boys, come on, Rob. You're a tiger at heart. You're a tiger at heart. This is how we finish the show. Everyone in the comments.
I'm the biggest silk, don't you worry. I'm the biggest silk. Stand down, Pasco. Get out of here.
Boys, as always, no matter who the CEO is, we love that emblem. Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the West Life Podcast. Please follow us at West Life Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and facebook.com/WestlifePod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/WestLife, and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the West Life Podcast.